There's a lot of really basic Substacks out there, but there's also ones like these that build cult followings. So as a designer, I want to share with you my branding perspective on how you can create something that looks like a professional publication on Substack just using Canva. So let's get into it. Now, if you're new to Substack or you've been there a little while, but you just feel like the overall look and branding of your Substack just feels a little bit amateur or a bit too DIY, and you really want everything to feel cohesive and like a proper brand, but at the same time, you don't have the budget to be hiring a designer and you're just not a designer yourself, I'm going to show you what you need to do so that you can up-level the branding on your Substack without it being complicated in any way. We don't need any fancy software. We don't need to be spending lots of money or be super creative. It's amazing how just being intentional and doing some simple things can actually really quickly up-level the look of a Substack publication. Now, there's only 4 steps to this, so it certainly isn't complicated. And it's going to give you the foundations, a visual system, everything live and uploaded into your Substack so that you can feel confident about the brand you've created for it, and you can just get on with publishing and putting your writing out there. So something to keep in mind here when it comes to Substack is this isn't a full brand. This isn't like trying to brand a business where you need all these different branding elements. It is just a publication and it's a lot more simple. You've got to think of it more like a sub-brand, a little bit like if you're branding a product. So yes, you might have branding for your overall business, everything that you do, but you've got to see this more as just a sub-brand, more like you're just branding one of your offers, one of your products, something like that. So we're just basically branding just this particular publication outlet of yours. And so it's not going to be quite as complicated as a full-on brand, which is going to make this a lot more simpler for you. So all you're actually going to need is a word mark, a couple of fonts, so this could be 2 to 3 fonts. Then you'll need a color palette of 2 to 4 colors, along with a clear vibe and feeling. And that's going to become your base for creating any graphics you need. So when it comes to things like your thumbnails and your notes, if you want to add graphics, having all these things are basically the building blocks for creating any of those graphics along the way. And those graphics are going to be the thing that actually sets up your actual publication, gets it all branded, and then as you go along and you create any additional graphics, you'll use those different elements as building blocks to create the extra things that you need as you go along. Step number 1 isn't making any design decisions. We're actually going to look at the feeling. Now, a lot of people when it comes to this kind of stage think, oh right, I've got to get on Pinterest and make a mood board. But they're sort of just jumping in and trying to look for aesthetic style. Whereas we want to just sort of take it back a tiny bit here first of all and think about the feeling we're trying to create here. You really want to think about how your publication should feel. Think about the person that's your ideal reader and how you want to make that person feel. What is that overall feeling and vibe you're trying to create? So what you want to do before doing any kind of visual research is actually write down some keywords. Think of the keywords of how your publication should actually feel. So how is it going to make that person feel? What is the vibe they're going to get when they stumble upon it? Really think about that overall feeling you're trying to create here. Because by doing that first, that's going to direct your visual research and you're actually going to create something that is creating this world that you want to create. You're not just picking a nice, pretty style and making your publication look pretty. It's actually going to build this world that has a particular feeling to it and a vibe and attracting the right kind of readers that you want. So once you've got those keywords, that's when you want to go and create a mood board. Now, this mood board shouldn't be overboard. We don't want, hundreds of pictures or anything crazy, where you've got this huge thing on Pinterest where you've got heaps of images. That just tends to be pretty overwhelming. What we want to look for is a variety of things, but really curate this. Really think of just a few things that really sort of capture that essence of what you're trying to create. It could be a few fonts, maybe some colors you come across. It could even be finding photos that just capture that essence and feeling. You might not actually use imagery in your actual branding, but it's just more about finding things that, visually start to show that feeling and vibe. Think of your mood board as a visual guide. So as you go to choose things like choosing fonts, choosing colors, you're going to, reference that, look at that mood board and you're like, yes, that does align with that feeling. So you're basically building a visual feeling there. That's why it's a mood board. You're creating the mood, you're setting the mood here. It's not about finding the exact things that you want to use, pure inspiration of, I want to create that particular style, with watercolor splashes or something. It's setting the mood, setting that feeling so that as you look for things, you're like, yes, that aligns with that feeling I'm trying to create. So now once we've got our mood board, this is when we can start to choose colors. Now you may be able to pick out some colors from within your mood board. Maybe you found some colors along the way, or images that you found actually have some colors that might suit in there. Otherwise, you just want to start looking at colors that capture that same feeling and vibe. So you've got to think about here too, whether you go for colors that feel very moody and dark. Substack allows you to choose colors for your background and for your buttons, and then of course your graphics. So your word mark, you may want it to be colored, and then of course things like your thumbnails and things like that, if you want to have color within them, you can choose the colors you want for that as well. So keep that in mind when you're choosing colors. Think, okay, I need to find a color that's really good as a background color. I need to find a color that contrasts that really well to use for things like buttons and for my word mark. So make sure you're considering that as you choose colors. So you're not just picking out a nice pretty palette, but you're actually thinking about how this palette's going to be used, how certain colors are going to complement well, and also have enough contrast, because you want a button to contrast well from a background. You don't want that color to be too similar. You want to really make sure that you're choosing enough contrast. So when it comes to your background color, you've got to decide if you want to go for a more dark, moody kind of feel, or if you want more of a light background where you can then build up color in your buttons, in your logo, and other elements. You really don't need to overload with color here. You don't need to have a huge big color palette like you would for a full brand. Again, this is a sub brand, and also I've seen some of the most powerful, beautiful looking publications on Substack often will just use 2 to 3 colors. They keep it very simple, and it actually is more powerful because those colors feel very intentional. They feel very true to that particular publication, and it stands out because they've been really intentional in their color choices. And remember, again, we want to really think about the feeling we want to create here. So do you want your publication to feel warm and cozy? If so, you'd want to look for warm colors, things like reds and oranges and brown. Or do you want it to feel fun and energetic? So you might be using really bright colors like bright pinks and yellows and bright blues, things that feel more energized and fun and playful. Or do you want it to feel moody and inviting? So it could be using a lot more dark tones. I've seen some people make really powerful looking publications by making their background color a dark color, because most people go for light, and it can really stand out and really set them apart. Now, if you find color a little bit overwhelming trying to choose colors, you can use the site coolers.co, and it will help you put colors together that go really well together. So you may want to start out just choosing one color that you think is good, and it can suggest other colors that would go really well with it. And that is really helpful when you're like, well, I've got one color in mind, or I think I've got a color that's, I think will do the job. You're a bit unsure about what else to put with it. This is a great tool to help you with choosing a full palette. So now we can choose our fonts. Now there's 2 different aspects when it comes to fonts in Substack. So there's the fonts that you use in your graphics, so things like your word mark and any kind of graphics, but then there's also the fonts you choose within Substack that are for the actual words, in your articles and things like that. Now you have a lot less choice for these ones, but again, you do need to take the time to think about that. Don't just randomly pick some fonts from there. Take the time to think out which ones best align with the feeling you want to create. Fonts are very powerful for positioning a brand. So this could be the difference between looking very sophisticated and professional, or calm, creative, and down to earth. The fonts you choose are really going to communicate that message and make a difference in positioning your publication. Now, when it comes to your graphics, purchasing fonts are going to give you the most highest quality font, but if you don't want to be spending money, you can use things like Google Fonts to still get high quality free fonts. And you can also find some really cool things within Canva as well. Canva has heaps of fonts to choose from. Of course, make sure you check out what's in there as well if you're trying to look for a good quality free font. Now, your word mark is basically your text logo, and this is where you probably want to be the most intentional about a font. It doesn't have to be the same font as everything else. This could be a special font just for this because it is more of a logo. So this is where you may want to look for something a little bit more fancy or a little bit more standout than all the rest of your text. Being a word mark too means we don't have to get too fancy with this logo. We don't have to add graphic elements or, try and come up with all these different things for a logo like you would for a business. It can just very simply be just pure text, but you probably want to elevate it beyond just simply writing out the name in just a font. This is where the design principle proximity comes into play. So to make a logo feel more like it's all one piece rather than just simply a random word, we actually can put the letters closer together. Now in Canva, you can do this by making the lettering tighter, by putting the letter spacing tighter, Or you could actually make each letter individual, so individual pieces of text rather than writing the word out, and then play around with putting them together in a way that's a little bit more unique. They may not necessarily all be on the same line either. You may have some moving slightly up or slightly down, or just sort of tucking into each other in some ways. So play around with this. If you find that just writing it out in a font just feels a bit too basic and boring, start to pull apart the letters and sort of play around with how you could put them differently. Now, this is a great way to make something feel a little bit more elevated and more like a logo without having to get into vector design and manipulating text and all those sort of things. We can still make it look elevated while making the process quite simple. And when it comes to your other fonts, something you need to keep in mind with pairing fonts is that you want the same feel but with contrast. So what I mean by this is both the fonts that you choose should have that same vibe and feeling. So for example, they both feel sophisticated and professional, or they both feel creative and down to earth. Basically, you want that same feeling in your fonts, but then you want contrast. So the contrast could be as simple as one is a serif and the other is a sans serif. You could have one that is a wide font and another that is a narrow font, one that is quite thick and then one that is a lot thin. Basically, the key to font pairing is same feeling but contrasting style. Now the final step, now that you have your visual direction and your base elements of your fonts and colors and your word mark, now you can create the graphics you need. So you may want to look for some different graphical elements that you want to use again and again. You can go through the elements library in Canva, find some things that suit. You could use their AI feature to generate some things if you wanted to. You could also go on Creative Market and purchase some elements. There's definitely plenty of options without you having to actually create or draw any kind of elements. There's definitely plenty of resources out there to find different elements to use. And then you want to start creating for yourself some templates. So things that you're going to do again and again, like your thumbnails or maybe some of the notes graph, rather than always starting from scratch, actually create a few templates to get yourself started. That way, every time you go to create something, you're not just going, oh no, a blank page, right, where's all my elements and things? You've got a bit of a starting point and you'll be able to grab all your different brand elements very easily and play around with it to create the graphic really quickly. Now, I do have a video that goes through all the different graphics within Substack, all the sizes, how to set them up and how to actually upload them to Substack. So make sure you check out that video because I go through this basically step by step, how to create all those different graphics, sizes they need to be, and actually the process of finding where to upload them as well. So if that feels a little bit overwhelming, make sure you check out that video so you can step by step go through everything that you need to do. So now you can apply everything you've created into your publication, and now you're going to feel much more confident because you've created something more intentional and more beautifully branded. It's really not about being overly designed or being super creative. It's really just being intentional, just taking the time to create something that has some meaning, really creates that feeling. Simplest things like the right color choices and good font choices can make a huge difference. So to get you inspired, let's have a look at a few publications that I've come across that I think have really done this well. All right, so looking at some examples here. So this one has used a really beautiful use of colors, using those soft pastels and also choosing the right kind of font. So her word mark there, she's chosen fonts that feel soft and feminine, so it really suits her overall feeling there. And the thumbnails, you can see she hasn't gone too crazy designing things, but it all sort of ties back in. It has that sort of same feel to it. Then we have Feeling Magazine. I really love this one. She's used a beautiful use of typography here. Red mark really feels like a proper logo, and that bright red against, the soft cream background, really bold, stands out and really looks good. Then we have this one, Midnight Crumbs. I love the playful whimsicalness to this. Again, as you can see, it's mostly just about that choice of color and fonts that really sets a tone. Then we have this one, The Quiet Growth Chronicles. I really like her just very simple use of text. You can see there the fonts aren't anything too fancy. It hasn't, it's not something where you have to find super fancy fonts or anything, but she's just done it in a very well considered way. And then using that beautiful pale blue, and then you can see there that little logo in the corner, like the stamp with a little snail on it. It's really beautifully designed. So it's just those thoughtful little touches that make a big difference. And we've got this one, Handle with Care. I just love the whimsicalness to this. The way that all just feels like it really ties together. Like all her thumbnails have that same sort of whimsical feeling, all the collaginess, but it all feels sort of handmade, hand-drawn, that sort of thing. And it just ties beautifully all together. Now we have this one, Soulful. She has a very playful word mark there, so obviously that's more of a logo that would have taken time to actually create. You can do very simple things where you just use some nice fonts and just thoughtfully use them, or you can go out and, you know, design something that feels more like a proper logo. So there's definitely plenty of different possibilities, and color here is so powerful too. Just the use of that green she's used there is really powerful. And then you can see she's also branded her thumbnails. There's a very consistent look throughout with all her thumbnail designs. And this one, A Whimsical World, it really captures that sort of archival feeling. You feel like you've gone into a library looking at old books and history, and it just really has that overall feeling to it, especially that she's chosen these rich colors too, like that dark cream background feels like old paper, and then the rich dark green in the actual word mark, and then the rich dark red in her button color. It all has that really rich sort of feeling that makes you feel like you're in a library looking at old historical documents. And then for something a bit different, because I noticed a lot of the previous ones were using sort of different cream tones for their background, I want to also show you how sometimes having a real strong colored background can be very powerful too. I've seen a few of these along the way, and they can really stand out because not a lot of people are doing it. And so it's something to consider if you really want to use color in a powerful way. So using this dark rich green here, and then contrasting it with that orangey reddy color in the button. And also she's been very creative here with her thumbnails, hand designing them. So you can see she's hand lettered and cut out things and basically scanned in something. So she's really created this overall really cool feeling here. Then this one I thought was really cool because it's different. They've done a different color on the top, the header, to the actual background, which is not very common. And so I thought that really stood out. And then the way she's actually added a graphic, the hand in the logo, also really stands out because that's quite unique too. So sometimes just those little things where you do something a little bit different can really stand out and make yours memorable. And there's this one, Avenue Edit. Now obviously she's a designer, so she's put a lot of design effort into this and made it really beautiful. And you can see it feels very refined, really well designed, and a really great use of color too, where she's sort of mixing up that use of the greens, the blues, and also that reddy rust color as well. Now, if you're still feeling a bit overwhelmed in creating the graphics for Substack, I do have 2 template packs that basically really get you started. All the different graphics you need, all set up in the correct size, and gives you a really good solid starting place so you can just tweak it to your own style. And you'll find the links to those down in the description below. I'd love to connect with you in Substack and check out what you create. So feel free to leave the link to your publication down in the comments, and you can also find the link to mine in my description. Now, if you'd like to learn more about branding, graphic design, and creativity, and of course using Canva, be sure to subscribe, and happy creating.